The invitation to my son Michael's engagement party arrived by email, not even a proper card. Casual gathering at Victoria's family estate, it read, followed by an address I knew all too well. After all, I'd signed the paperwork to purchase it less than 3 months ago through one of my holding companies. I adjusted my simple pearl necklace in the mirror, understated, but worth more than most cars. 25 years of strategic investments had turned my late husband's insurance payout into an empire. Though I kept that fact carefully hidden from our son. James had always wanted Michael to make his own way in the world. Mrs. Harrison. My property manager's voice crackled through the phone. The Montgomery estate is prepared for today's event. Should I inform the staff about your arrival? No, Robert. Let's maintain the illusion a while longer. I smiled, remembering how eagerly Victoria's family had accepted my shell company's cash offer for their struggling estate. Amazing how quickly old money could disappear when the next generation didn't know how to manage it. The gravel crunched under my modest sit-in as I drove through the estate's gates. Luxury vehicles lined the circular driveway, Bentleys, Maseratis, and other symbols of wealth that meant little to those who actually had it. I purposely parked near the service entrance, curious to see how this would play out. Michael spotted me as I walked toward the main entrance, his face contorting in panic. He hurried over, designer shoes clicking on the marble steps. Mom, what are you doing? The staff entrance is around back. He glanced nervously at the gathering crowd of socialites on the terrace. Hello to you too, dear. I adjusted my handbag, Hermes, but an older model that didn't scream new money. Is that any way to greet your mother? Please, Mom. His voice dropped to a whisper. Victoria's family, they're very particular about these things. You understand, right? With your background. My background. He meant the years I spent building businesses while he attended private schools, never realizing those same schools were now owned by my education investment group. Of course, dear. I smiled. I know exactly how particular the Montgomerys are, especially about money. Mother, he hissed. Just use the back door, okay? And maybe don't mention your work. Victoria's father is very traditional about women in business. I bit back a laugh, remembering how eagerly Mr. Montgomery had negotiated with my female CEO during the estate's sale. I wouldn't want to embarrass you, I said softly. Though I'm curious, did Victoria mention how her family managed to keep the estate? What do you mean? They've owned it for generations. He straightened his Italian silk tie. A gift from me last Christmas, though he thought it came from his trust fund. Of course, I patted his cheek. Well, I'll just go around back then. Wouldn't want to upset the natural order of things. I walked toward the service entrance, noting how the staff avoided eye contact. They'd been warned about the mother who didn't know her place. Inside, Victoria was directing caterers with the practiced air of someone who'd never worked a day in her life. Michael's mother. She barely glanced my way. Staff refreshments are in the kitchen. Please try to remain out of sight during the main event. How thoughtful. I settled into a kitchen chair, watching the controlled chaos around me. I hear congratulations are in order. Not just the engagement, but the estate too. It must be such a relief that your family managed to keep it. She stiffened slightly. I don't know what you mean. This house has been in my family for generations. I pulled out my phone, checking the investment alerts that had just come through. Speaking of houses, did Michael tell you about his trust fund conditions? The one he gets at 30? She smiled smugly. Yes, we've been planning the renovations already. This place could use some updating. I raised an eyebrow. Interesting plans, considering the trust doesn't exist anymore. What? She spun around, perfectly styled hair whipping through the air. I dissolved it last month. I stood up, brushing off my skirt, along with acquiring some interesting property in the area. Amazing what you can buy when old families can't pay their debts. The color drained from her face. I don't know what you're talking about. No? I reached into my purse and pulled out a folder. Maybe we should discuss this with your father. I believe he's familiar with Harrison Global Holdings. Her eyes widened. Everyone in high finance knew that name. They just didn't know it belonged to a woman who was currently being treated like the help at her own property. You're lying, she whispered. Am I? I smiled. Let's find out. I believe it's time for the engagement toast. Shall we join the party through the front door? Or would you prefer I use the service entrance to announce the estate's new ownership? Victoria swayed slightly, her perfect world cracking at the edges. Does Michael know about my success? No, his father wanted him to learn the value of hard work. I moved toward the main hall, though it seems he's learned some other lessons instead. Wait, she grabbed my arm. Please, let me talk to him first. Of course. I checked my watch. You have until the toast. Though you might want to warn your father too. Harrison Global is reviewing all its recent acquisitions, including this estate's management. I watched her hurry away, heels clicking frantically on the marble floors. In the kitchen, the staff suddenly found reasons to look busy, though I caught several hidden smiles. Mrs. Harrison, a young server approached cautiously. We didn't know it was you. That was rather the point. I stood up. Now, I believe it's time to rejoin my son's engagement party. Through the front door, of course. After all, I hadn't spent 25 years building an empire just to be sent through the back door of my own house. The main ballroom buzzed with expensive perfume and even more expensive gossip. I watched from the kitchen doorway as Victoria cornered her father near the champagne fountain, her urgent whispers causing his face to cycle through various shades of red. Ma'am? Robert, my property manager, appeared at my elbow. The staff has been informed. Should we proceed with the changes? I checked my watch, 20 minutes until the toast. Begin quietly. Let's see if anyone notices. One by one, the uniformed staff began removing certain paintings from the walls. Specifically, the ones the Montgomerys had tried to secretly sell last month to cover their debts. In their place went pieces from my personal collection, including a particular Monet that Victoria's father had failed to acquire at auction last year. Mother? Michael appeared, his face ashen. Victoria's telling me crazy things. About you, about Harrison Global. Are they crazy? I adjusted my simple pearl necklace. Or just inconvenient to the story you've been telling everyone about your simple mother. But, all these years, he looked lost, like a little boy who once proudly told his kindergarten class that his mommy was the smartest person he knew, before status and society warped his values. Did you ever wonder how your trust fund stayed so healthy? How you could afford that apartment in Manhattan? That convenient job at Preston Financial? I earned that job. Did you? I pulled out my phone, showing him an email. Or did Harrison Global's quiet word with the board earn it for you? His hands started shaking. Why didn't you tell me? Your father wanted you to build your own success. I wanted to see what kind of man you'd become with and without money. I gestured around the ballroom. I think we both got our answer today. Victoria approached, clutching her father's arm. Mr. Montgomery looked like he'd swallowed something sour. Mrs. Harrison, I believe we need to talk. About what? I smiled pleasantly. The estate's deed. The paintings currently being relocated? Or perhaps your daughter instructing me to use the service entrance of my own home. Your home, Michael's voice cracked. But this is the Montgomery's estate. Was, Mr. Montgomery corrected, sweat beading on his forehead. Until certain financial arrangements necessitated a sale. To my holding company, I added. Though I'm curious why you didn't mention this to the happy couple while they were making renovation plans with my money. Victoria's perfect makeup couldn't hide her blotching complexion. Daddy, do something. Yes, Richard, I said smoothly. Do something. Perhaps start by explaining why you've been selling off assets while pretending to maintain your lifestyle. Assets that now belong to me? The whispers had stopped. The entire party was watching now, their practiced society masks slipping as they witnessed the careful facade crumbling. Mom, Michael stepped forward. I never knew. Clearly, I turned to face the crowd. You never knew because you chose not to see. All of you did. Too busy deciding who belongs where, who enters through which door. Robert appeared again. Ma'am, the changes are complete. I nodded, watching realization dawn as guests finally noticed the switched paintings, the subtle signs of new ownership throughout the mansion. Thank you, Robert. I believe it's time for that toast. Wait. Victoria's voice bordered on hysteria. You can't. This is our engagement party. Is it? I raised an eyebrow. Because according to the property contract, all events must be approved by the owner, and I don't recall approving anything. The silence was deafening. Michael stared at me, then at the Montgomerys, then at the guests who were already edging toward the exits, sensing the shift in social power. "So what now?" he finally asked. "You're going to humiliate us? Throw us out?" "No," I picked up a champagne glass. "I'm going to teach you the lesson your father and I should have taught you years ago." I clinked my glass, drawing everyone's attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to propose a toast to appearances and to reality, to front doors and back doors and the foolishness of judging anyone by which one they use." Victoria's father seemed to shrink into his custom suit. Her mother clutched her pearls so hard I feared they'd break. "To my son," I continued, "who has a choice to make. Continue playing these society games with borrowed status, or remember the values we tried to teach you before you decided your mother was something to be ashamed of." Michael's face crumpled. "Mom, I'm so sorry." "I know," I set down my glass. "But sorry isn't enough. Actions matter. Choices matter." "What do you want us to do?" Victoria asked, her voice small. "That depends." I turned to face them fully. "Do you want to keep playing pretend with your family's fading fortune? Or would you like to learn how real success is built?" The room held its breath. In the silence, I could almost hear the calculations happening behind every carefully maintained society smile. "The house is still available for your wedding," I said quietly, "but not as a Montgomery property, as what it truly is, one of many properties in a portfolio built by a woman you thought belonged in the back room." Michael stepped forward, then did something that surprised me. He walked to the service entrance and opened it wide. "No more back doors," he said firmly. "No more pretending." He turned to Victoria. "If you want to be with me, it's time to see my mother for who she really is, who I should have been proud of all along." Victoria looked between her father, who seemed to have aged 10 years in the last hour, and Michael, who suddenly appeared stronger, more genuine than I'd seen him in years. The choice she made would determine more than just their relationship. It would decide whether they'd learn to build something real or continue living on borrowed prestige. I picked up my purse, ready to leave them to their decision. After all, the best lessons are learned when people have to face the consequences of their own choices. 3 months later, I sat in my office overlooking Central Park, reviewing the quarterly reports from my various holdings. The Montgomery estate, now officially Harrison Manor, had become one of our most profitable venues for high-end corporate events. Amazing what proper management could do. A knock at my door revealed Michael, looking different in business casual rather than his usual bespoke suits. "Mom, do you have a minute?" I gestured to the chair across from me. He'd started working in our property management division last month. Entry level, no special treatment. Just like every other employee. "Victoria's family is selling their Hampton house," he said without preamble. "They can't afford the upkeep anymore." "I know." I closed my laptop. "Their financial advisor contacted us about a potential purchase. Are you going to buy it?" "No," I smiled at his surprise. "Sometimes the best lessons come from losing things. Your future in-laws need to learn that lesson for themselves." He nodded slowly. "Victoria's different now. Since she started working at that nonprofit, she actually seems happier." After the engagement party revelation, Victoria had shocked everyone by declining her family's offer to find her a suitable position at a family friend's company. Instead, she'd taken a job at a foundation helping underprivileged women start businesses. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. "And you?" I asked. "Any regrets about giving up the corner office at Preston Financial?" "Only that I didn't see things clearly sooner." He leaned forward. "The staff at the manor, they told me stories about when you first bought it. How you knew all their names, their kids' names. How you paid for Maria's daughter's college. Success isn't just about acquiring assets," I said quietly. "It's about understanding their true value, including people." "I get that now." He pulled out a folder. "Actually, that's why I'm here. I've been working on a proposal for converting part of the manor into a business training center, teaching entrepreneurship to people who wouldn't normally have access to that world." I raised an eyebrow, taking the folder. The proposal was detailed, thoroughly researched, with realistic budgets and clear objectives. Nothing like the vague investment opportunities he used to chase. Victoria helped, he admitted. Her experience at the foundation. She sees things differently now. We both do. And the Montgomerys? What do they think about their former estate becoming a training center for the common people? He grimaced. They're not thrilled. But they're not in a position to object anymore. Besides, he straightened in his chair. It's not their opinion that matters. Pride, Real pride, not the artificial kind, swelled in my chest. The proposal needs work, I said, making notes in the margins. But the concept is solid. Set up a proper presentation for next week. We'll review it with the board. His face lit up, then turned serious. No special treatment though, right? If they don't like it, then you'll revise and try again. I handed back the folder. That's how real success works. He stood to leave, then paused. The wedding's next month. We changed everything, smaller venue, focusing on family and friends who actually matter. And he smiled. Victoria insists you enter through the front door. She wants you to give a speech about building something meaningful. I'm proud of you, I said softly. Both of you. After he left, I walked to my office window, remembering another view from years ago, through the back door of a mansion, watching the wealthy play their status games. Now my son was learning the same lessons I had, that true worth isn't in which door you use, but in what you build once you walk through it. My phone buzzed, a message from Victoria. She was organizing a fundraiser for her foundation, asking if she could host it at the manor. The ballroom has the perfect energy, she wrote. Maybe because its owner knows what it's like to build something from nothing. I smiled, typing my response. The manor's ballroom would indeed be perfect, especially since we'd replace all the old portraits of Montgomery ancestors with photographs of successful entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds. Each picture told a story of someone who'd walked through the back door and emerged through the front. Sometimes the best revenge isn't in proving people wrong, but in teaching them to be better. My son and his fiancée had learned that lesson well.